Everyone, welcome back to another very exciting Adobe Live. I am your host, Jesus Ramirez, and with me today, we have Ashley Armstrong. Hey, Ashley, how are you today?
Hey, how are you guys?
We're all doing fantastic. I'm gonna take a look at the chat here and see who we have. We usually have a lot of people that follow us, and for some reason, my chat is not showing anything. Let me refresh, and there we go. I can now see people. I see, yeah, Steve, Rebecca, from Ann Arbor, Michigan. By the way, Ashley, where are you?
I'm in Providence, Rhode Island, in New England.
Awesome. I'm in the San Francisco Bay Area. Beautiful San Ramon. Is incredibly hot here today. Let us know where you're watching from and what the weather is like where you're at. Lamont is saying hi. Hey, Lamont, thank you for joining us. Kevin, we have Paco in the house. Wade, awesome. Hey, everyone. Yeah, thank you so much for joining us today. Obviously, we have the amazing Ashley. We're going to be designing an at-home activity guide. And can you tell us a little bit about that, Ashley?
Yeah, so I'm going to do an editorial piece. It is going to be a tabloid-sized newspaper, just to mix things up a little bit. And it's going to be an activity-based guide, kind of what you should be doing or some ideas of what you should be doing while you're kind of spending a lot more time at home. So there's going to be some activities for like shibori, some DIYs, some plant guides. There's going to be a bunch of recipes. Just a bunch of stuff so you can kind of keep ideas fresh and kind of keep it exciting while staying at home.
Awesome. That sounds really, really fun. I'm sure it's going to be great. But before we get started, we do have a few housekeeping items. First of all, let me remind everybody about the Daily Creative Challenge. Julia Masalska just did a Daily Creative Challenge, Illustrator Daily Creative Challenge that you and I are going to review, Ashley, in about an hour and a half. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, make sure that you head over into behance.net/challenge/Illustrator. And from there, you'll be able to see the page here, the Daily Creative Challenge page, and you'll be able to click on the chat with the community page, and that will open up the Discord app. And from here, make sure that you go into the left-hand side, right up above our heads here, and you'll be able to see the Creative Challenge page. And if you scroll down, there should be oh, here we are. I'm already on it. Wait, I'm a little confused. It looks a little different than the Photoshop one. I usually do the Photoshop one, and there's a section where you can submit your work, and that's where Ashley and I, here we go, challenge. It's got a different name than the Photoshop one, where Ashley and I will be able to review your work, and that will be in about an hour and a half. So make sure that you come in here and submit your work. Again, the page is at behance.net/challenge/Illustrator, or there should be a link coming up above our heads pretty soon. Here we go, Discord, the Discord link, the bit.ly is there so you can check that out. Also, why don't we take a look at the schedule for the day, and that will be popping up in just a moment. So, and actually, it looks like it's not coming up on my screen where I should be looking at it. Let me refresh that. Yeah, it's right there. You can check it out. For some reason, I can't really see it on my end, but it's there. Trust me. I know we're gonna have a fun-filled day, so make sure that you check that out. Thank you, guys. Oh, there we go. I can now see it. So we have at 7:30, we have Brandon Gross coming up with a getting started in Adobe XD. That was this morning. Then we had the wonderful Jason Levine doing video Daily Creative Challenge. Jason is super amazing. Make sure that you watch the recording. Then we had Voodoo Val doing the Photoshop Daily Creative Challenge. And then at 9:30, we had video editing with Shai Lee and Julia Masaska right before us doing the Illustrator Daily Creative Challenge. That's what we're going to review. And without any bias, he's the best stream of the day with Ashley Armstrong doing editorial design. And right after us, we have Peter Del Tondo doing the Adobe XD Daily Creative Challenge. At 2:30, we have the Draw Along with Kyle T. Webster, and we're going to end the day with Voodoo Val again and Emmy from Good Rad Funny. So make sure that you check it out. Stay with us the whole day if you like. But right now, we're just going to focus on you, Ashley, and the editorial design stream for today. So why don't I throw... Oh, you can't switch the shot. No worries. Hey, man, it's been one of those days. So yeah, since we can switch the mouse, I guess we can talk a little bit more about you, Ashley. Where can people find you? Tell us a little bit more about yourself for those of us that don't know you.
Yeah, so I'm a graphic designer based out of Providence, like I had mentioned before. I currently am freelancing under my pseudonym Sway Studio, and my experience has been in small studios. I've worked in ad agencies, in-house, kind of done a little bit of it all. And while doing that, I've kind of worked in a wide range of disciplines. I've done layout design, I've done branding, illustration, art direction, packaging, like web design, everything, you name it. My sweet spot has been branding just because I love to do a little bit of everything, and that's kind of where they all intertwine. But today we are going to be doing a layout design, which is my favorite thing, especially when I was in college. It was my absolute favorite. It's just exciting to do something that is printed and out in the world that you can kind of hold in your hands. That's becoming less and less readily available, especially now. So I'm excited to get into it.
Awesome. Super cool. Before we get started, I just want to, earlier we asked where people were watching from. So let me just give a few shout outs here. We have we have Kevin from Las Vegas, Nevada. Julia Masauskas in the chat. Hi, Julia. We have Josie from Tampa, Florida, I'm assuming. Ashley sharing that? Okay, cool. We have Steve from New Zealand, Wellington. Chris from sunny and warm Colorado, Candy from Maryland. So we have people watching from everywhere. Ashley, I see Bahadur from Pakistan. Oh, wow. Awesome, cool. So yeah, we have a worldwide audience. So thank you guys so much for joining us. But yeah, I just wanted to say hi to people since we asked them earlier where they were watching from. So thank you for letting us know. And yeah, throwing it over to you, Ashley, so we could start the stream.
Cool. So that's just a little bit of my work to give you a sense of what I've done in the past. But today I'm going to go into the creative brief that I've created for you guys. So the assignment is essentially a fun, lighthearted editorial piece with recipes, advice, activities for what to do with all this time at home. And like I said before, the medium, it's going to be a tabloid-sized newspaper / magazine. I don't want to say it's, your standard newspaper because it's going to be a little bit more fun than, the New York Times or the Boston Globe or something like that. No offense to those publications, but this is going to be a little bit more fun. And then it's going to be 8 pages, 3 spreads, and then a cover and a back cover. And just to give you guys a sense of the inspiration that I was going off of, just so you kind of get a sense of what this, magazine newspaper mesh would look like. These are kind of some examples I'd pulled. So, we're going to be messing around with color just because newspaper doesn't mean it needs to be black and white. I was thinking maybe we could mess around with the background paper, what color that could be. We'll see. And what I love about newspapers is just like all these little wayfinding elements. They have icons in here and just ways to differentiate between sections, just because on a newspaper you have so much information. There's multiple articles sometimes on a page, so having these little elements are great to differentiate between each section. And I was even thinking it would be fun to, maybe there's a little pamphlet within the newspaper. Sometimes you'll see that. I don't think we'd have time to design what that would be, but just thinking about maybe if there's like a layered element there. And then, for the centerfold, I was thinking it will make it really fun and playful and have some type of illustration or typographic element, either with some cool gradient with photography and type. I think it's going to be like a quote or something like that. Or we could even do something like you're seeing right here. We'll see. We'll figure it out as we go.
Awesome. Well, that sounds good. Julia saying in the chat that typefaces are awesome. Yay, Ashley. Hi from Ukraine. And our good pal Howard Brinsky is also in the chat saying hi, Ashley and Jesus. Yeah, the typefaces look amazing. And I think it's really cool how you're showing your design brief and how you have this mood board, so to speak, to show us what you're going to be working today. So it's super, super awesome.
Yeah, I'm glad you guys are digging the typefaces. It's like my favorite thing in the world is messing around with a few different typefaces. And, you know, to go off of that, my way of starting, and there's so many different ways to start, you know, an editorial piece, but I kind of like to build the framework a little bit with type hierarchy and kind of get a feel for that and experiment that and, you know, lay it out on a page to make sure it feels balanced and right before I go and plop in all of the copy, just because, especially with a bigger piece and a lot of copy, you can get overwhelmed really quickly. So I kind of like to figure out this a little bit. And this isn't to say that this might not change as we go. But to do that, so I'm going to start with looking around for headlines and then subheads below that, and then body copy. And then we're going to mess around with color a little bit here. So the name of the editorial piece that I've chosen is Home Buddy, almost like Homebody, a little bit of a play on that.
Nice.
And what I'm going to do is try to find some typefaces that we are liking. So I've kind of already made a few decisions here. I'm not entirely sure I found something I love yet. I'm thinking it'll probably be a sans serif. I don't love this one. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to go into Adobe Fonts and I'm going to kind of search around for a different typeface. And Adobe Fonts is great. You can type in the sample text right here so you can see it. I'm going to have it in all caps. I think I want it to be a serif, so I'm going to click that. And then I've decided it's going to be a heavyweight, a lot of contrast, and middle width. So this one I've already selected, as you can see.
Yeah, you can tell on the right side by that button being blue that you have it in your Creative Cloud account.
Yes, and it's great too.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Ashley. No, please.
Oh no, I was gonna say, and it's great too because Adobe syncs it right away, so you'll see it immediately in InDesign.
And I was gonna say, if you're not familiar with what Ashley is displaying now, you can go to fonts.adobe.com and check it out. If you have a Creative Cloud account, you'll be able to sync these fonts onto your Creative Cloud apps. So as Ashley was saying, as soon as she licenses the font, you'll be able to use them automatically. And in this case, InDesign, Illustrator, Photoshop, and all the other Adobe apps that support fonts.adobe.com.
Okay, so this one, I think this one looks good.
So people in the chat are asking what the typefaces you were using were earlier. Somebody said the bottom one is Belly. The first one is So Fresh. Belly Display is the one I recognize. I think is Retiro, Julia said. So people are just wondering what typefaces you were using before.
Yeah, well, someone was spot on with that one. And then this one, Moret. And then this one I think is native to my computer. So Soul Display.
Cool.
So
let us know in the chat what typefaces you tend to go to. Like, I think everyone has a favorite. For some reason, I just like using Proxima. I think it's just so sleek and cool looking. But yeah, let us know in the chat, what is your favorite typeface? Ashley, what's the one that you find yourself using the most?
Proxima. I love Proxima. It's just like a good go-to. It looks good no matter what you do.
Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah.
Okay, so I think I'm liking this one. I especially like the italics. So we're gonna try Louvette and see how that looks.
And you have to make the sound effect when you click on the drop down, I believe, right? Otherwise it won't come down.
Yeah. All right, that one looks good. I still think I kind of like this one though, because I kind of like that O. But
oh my God, I'm gonna mispronounce this person's name, but Yortirmia, I'm so sorry for mispronouncing your name, is saying that they like Montserrat and Acumen Variable.
Oh, I like those.
Beck uses, I don't think I've heard of this one, Didot, D-I-D-O-T.
Oh, yep. That's a pretty popular one. In college
Cool.
I had I did a whole specimen like project on that.
Awesome. Yeah,
Um,
I gotta look that one up. I'm gonna write it down. I don't recognize that one.
Okay, so I have Montserrat here, and I'm kind of liking that for the body copy. For print, a lot of people will tell you to use a sans or a serif just because for large bodies of copy it looks great. But I feel like, as things go more digital, people are a little bit more used to a sans serif. And I think we're going to have it a little bit bigger. So let's mess around with it. So I'm feeling good about these options, trying them out. And then I've already kind of picked my colors here. I think these are going to definitely change. But I'm liking this blue. I like the yellow. I think it'll be playful. So let's try it out. So I'm going to switch over to, I already started a InDesign file that is a 11 by 14 tabloid. And what I'm going to start doing is I'm going to go into my masters, which is essentially the page that kind of controls all of your other pages. So if you have elements within your editorial piece, like pagination, or you want to put the title of the newspaper somewhere, you can do that here, and it'll only show up. You only have to change it in one place if you want to make changes to it later. But what I'm going to be doing here is I'm going to start with a modular grid. Which is essentially just a little, hold on, let me select both of these. So I'm going to go to layout, margins, columns. And what I'm going to do is create these columns and these rulers so that I kind of have a sense of where everything is. With the editorial piece, it's kind of nice. You can either do something really free flowing, or you can do something that that has a little bit more structure to it. And I kind of want to make sure that I have a good amount of structure, and we can mess around with this later. But so I made some columns, and now I'm going to make some rows. Turn my previews on. Oops, yeah. So I'm going to make some rows. You can make columns in here too, but for some reason I like to do it in the margins, and then I like to make my rows and guides. And just make sure your gutter, which is essentially, if you put a line of copy here and a line of copy here, this is going to be the space in between those two columns.
Why is your preference doing it separately? Any particular reason?
I kind of like having them the separate colors, to be honest,
okay,
just to like differentiate.
Just visually, it makes more sense to you.
Yeah, and
right.
The columns to me are a little bit more important. I kind of don't really follow these guys a little bit, but I like to make them a square and just make sure that it's to the margins, not to the page. So you get these little perfect squares. All right, and so then from there, yep, okay, so it should be on all of these guys. And we'll probably go back to that master eventually, but let's get into it.
Michelle is saying there's something so soothing about InDesign and layout design.
I know, I feel ya. It's just sometimes when everything lines up, it's just like exciting.
See, like I'm a big Photoshop person, but I appreciate apps like InDesign. I think that Photoshop is very, there's a lot of instant gratification in Photoshop. You can do a couple clicks and things just look amazing, but then I guess it goes back to Michelle's comment, just watching the process of everything coming together slowly. It's so soothing. So it's just like, I don't know. It's just like something so powerful about just having total control over text and layout with InDesign.
Yeah, and Photoshop's great for some things, but when you want to do something type heavy, InDesign's just a lot better.
Be. Yeah, for sure.
And so I'm gonna just pull these colors in so that I have them.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm gonna go to swatches, and they appear right here. But I'm going to select all unused, and I'm just going to throw those away because I don't like looking at a bunch of things I don't need.
That was super cool. So there's an option that you can select the unused swatches. It selects them, you just drag them out. Is that how that works?
Yep.
Super cool.
what I think I'm gonna do. So for mine, I think I'm gonna make it a little bit more magazine cover layout than newspaper. So I'm going to add first, I'm going to go to File.
And what does that mean to you? More magazine cover than newspaper cover?
I'm not actually gonna put any copy in. I'm going to put in just like a little bit of almost like a magazine where you see one article, like the title of one article and then the page, and then there's just going to be a photo.
Cool.
So let's go to, I already have my assets. So what I'm going to do is I picked some photos of like cool houses that look nothing like my house, but what I would like my house to be. And those are massive. So I'm going to make this smaller. So
this is your dream couch?
This is my dream couch. Very minimal.
It looks like a couch out of like, I don't know if you guys ever seen the show Mad Men. It shows a little, you know what I mean? Like from the 60s, kind of like modern from the mid-century. Yeah. Super cool.
I love mid-century, which I think you'll be able to tell with what I kind of picked here. The couch is also mid-century. Go. So here's two options.
Olivia said they do look like your house. I don't know if you know Olivia.
Oh, I do know Olivia. Yep. I do have a leather couch.
Nice. So see, it does look like your house a bit.
Yeah. I have a dog, so gotta make sure there's no dog hair everywhere.
What kind of dog do you have?
A blue heeler mix. So cattle dog. Yeah.
What's the dog's name?
Her name is Rue. She's like a little kangaroo.
Aww. I think some people in the chat are also watch my streams when I do the Photoshop ones. They'll probably remember my cat's name. Let's see if anybody in the chat remembers my cat's name.
Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm essentially going to make some frames to place these photos into. I'm gonna create some shapes because I kind of want to do a fun shape. So these two together are gonna make a shape that I like. And I'm going to go to the Pathfinder and I'm gonna combine these two.
Super cool. Very similar to Illustrator.
Yes. Yeah, you'd be surprised how similar the two can be at times. So let's try this guy.
Oh, see, Julia got it wrong. Julia said Frida. Oh, that's Claudia's cat. That's not my cat. But Mia got it right. Mr. Meow.
Mr. Meow? Oh my God, that's a cute one.
Well, his name became Mr. Meow. Like I originally named him Chicharito, which nobody could pronounce. So his legal name is Chicharito, but you know, we had to change his name because you know nobody can pronounce it.
No one can pronounce it. Oh man, poor guy.
Yeah.
What kind of cat is it?
It's a tabby, gray.
Oh, cute.
He's a cutie. He's a little prince. Kitty the cat. Steve wrote that on the great football player XO, and I like how Paco said football player, not soccer player. Yeah.
Oh.
And that's where I got the name from, because I got the cat when that particular soccer player that Paco was referencing in the chat started becoming famous, so that's where the name came from.
I wish I knew more about football. I don't know anything about American football. I know nothing about soccer.
Are you into any sports at all?
I played a sport. I played lacrosse in college, but
nice.
As far as watching, I'm just like not. I'm like a fair weather fan.
Yeah.
If something's like doing really well in Boston.
Yeah.
I'll watch, but otherwise, I'm like, I'm okay.
Are they winning the championship this year? Yeah, I'm a fan.
Let's see. I'm not sure. Let's pick.
Yeah, somebody, Cornell in the chat wrote, Jesus, is that you? You look different from this perspective, and I couldn't recognize you. Yes, this is me. I don't know what perspective I'm in, but maybe I'm turning my head weird. I don't know. But yeah, that's me. Super cool. So walk us through, like, what are you doing right now? Like what?
So this is the cover.
Mhm.
Just trying to, I kind of like this shape and having this frame here. I'm not totally sure I'm sold on this now, this headline. And I was also messing around with, if we had like a slightly tinted background color.
Mhm.
I don't know why this isn't getting lighter. There we go. Trying to make this a little bit lighter so that it doesn't.
Just to let you know, the application knows that you're live, so it's not going to work properly. I'm just joking. That happens all the time. You're like, wait a minute, this works every single day that I try it, but now that I'm live, it's not working. Mia in the chat says that she likes hockey. I try to be a hockey player because, I saw the movie Mighty Ducks. I'm a 90s kid, so,
Oh my God, I love Mighty Ducks.
So, I thought I was cool. And I'm from California, so, we have no ice. So I got myself some rollerblades, and then I hurt myself really bad, and I never tried it again.
Oh, no.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I've seen so many more people rollerblading now than in the past. Like, everyone is on the bike paths rollerblading around here. Really? I know it's more of a thing in California for sure, but here I'm not used to it.
So Wade is asking if you were on the stroke and not Phil when you were making that adjustment. That your outline was selected. Right. Yeah.
He was probably right. I will try that again. So for this, I'm going to pick what we had kind of chosen as the subhead down here. Kind of want something a little bit more extended. And then I think I want it to be this yellow color for now. So
Felix wrote, "Friends don't let friends rollerblade."
Too many rollerblading accidents?
Well, the problem is when people watch movies and then they think they can do it.
Yeah.
Like I'm notably a slow driver, but then I saw Fast and the Furious when I came out, and I was driving faster than I usually do. So I'm one of those kind of people that gets excited by watching movies, and then I want to try it, and it just doesn't work out.
Yeah.
We have some basketball players in the chat. Only Americans call it soccer. The rest of the world calls it football. Technically true, but also Italians call it calcio. Brazilians call it futebol, which I guess could be translated as football. So I guess the rest of the English-speaking world calls it football.
I mean, it does make more sense. You are using your feet. Let's make this.
So, pop quiz. Do you guys know why Americans call it soccer? Does anyone know? I'll give you guys a clue. Association football was the original name of the association in America. So they kind of, I guess I just tell you. So they kind of took the whole sock association and then just kind of turned it into soccer at some point.
Oh, that makes sense. I never knew why. Okay, so I'm going to go into my copy deck that has all of the content that we are going to work with. I just roughly put in place where I think maybe the headlines for the stories might go, and we're gonna put just some pagination next to it, just guessing where it's gonna be, but that's gonna change. So we have an article on Shibori, and then that one's a little bit longer.
So I just want to say I'm so glad to see that you have a copy deck. I've seen so many designers who, for some reason, refuse them. You know what I mean? Like they just want to freestyle everything, and I'm like, really?
Oh no, I could not do that. You got to start with your content somewhere, right?
Yeah, I'm with you.
So.
And a lot of time, it also depends on where how you're working or where you're working. my first job out of college was a designer for Motorola, so I didn't have to worry about the copy. The copy just came to me from a copywriter, so like I didn't have to worry about it. But it was so much nicer just having. I think that in those days, what were you? I think I was using Microsoft Word with them. I don't know. This is like in 2000 or 2004, whenever I graduated from college. But the point is that yeah, it's like as a designer, I mean, I just right away saw the value of having your copy and your content, and you could see it and feel it out before you start actually working with the app.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, and yeah, I couldn't imagine like just plopping in words into InDesign immediately.
Right.
Got to get the content right first. Okay, so I'm just gonna keep going with this blue color for now, and then maybe we'll change it afterwards. And another thing just to keep in mind is in print, I normally just don't like anything going under like 8 points, 7 points. At that point, it starts getting like a little iffy on legibility. I remember I used to always want things like a little bit smaller just because it like looked nicer for some reason to me. And I just remember always getting the feedback, but older people can't read this.
Yeah.
I'm like, yep.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Okay.
See, I'm the other way around. I can actually see better now that I'm older because I got LASIK. So, but yes, as you don't have to be older, you could be younger with bad eyesight, and the small font just doesn't work.
Yep. Yeah, I feel like my hearing is bad, so
yeah.
My husband always makes fun of me for that. So you don't have to be older for that.
Definitely. And also, I just want to give people a quick reminder. We have the Illustrator Daily Creative Challenge coming up in about an hour. So make sure that you submit your work. You can go into behance.net/challenge/Illustrator. And from there, there's a link that will take you right into our Discord page where you can submit your work. And we'll be reviewing that in about an hour, like I said. So we're very excited to see what you guys came up with. And I know Julia's running the Daily Creative Challenges for Illustrator this week, and I think she might still be in the chat. I saw her name pop up not too long ago, so looking forward to see what Julia worked on today.
Nice. All right, so I'm gonna keep messing around with this a little bit later. I kind of like to start things and then not necessarily finish them and then come back to them later. So I'm gonna keep moving on. I already, kind of stopped with the subhead we had decided on earlier and was kind of like, I'm not sure I love that. So we're gonna keep on moving. But this should be good for now. So I'm gonna start with my first article, which is Shibori, and I'm gonna just copy all of that to right here. And then now that I have my little grid,
Julia's still in the chat saying she'll submit her challenge as well. Awesome, Julia, we'll check it out. We're gonna be most critical of you. No, just kidding. Oh man, people are still talking about sports. We're there's Aussie rules football. Rugby is not for weaklings. I would agree with that.
No, definitely not.
I have a Carol wrote. I have a new client that sent me her ad copy done in Magic Marker.
Oh my god!
Ask her to please type it in an email or Word doc.
Oh my god. The worst is too when you get edits for something and I've had someone take my design from a PDF and then print it out and then just like hand write a bunch of random things. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't read your handwriting. But man. I can't imagine getting like
like Magic copy. Marker. Like, yeah. Here you go. It'll be better if they did it on Magic Marker, took a photo and then sent it to you. We're like, here you go, it's digital now.
Yep.
One of my best friends, this is, I was still in high school, so it wasn't like recently, but he is one of these people that are just not computer literate at all. So then I show up to his house and I noticed that he's typing like he's got some printouts of copy, and he's also typing, and he's looking at the printout, and I'm like, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, I'm typing this up. And I'm like, where'd you get that from? He's like, oh, I found it online. And I was like, but why are you typing? First of all, why did you print it? And why are you typing it? He's like, oh, because I'm trying to get it into Microsoft Word. Like, he didn't know that you could copy and paste. So he actually printed out like actual paper. And then he was just looking at it, just typing it, because he's just so computer illiterate that he didn't know you could copy and paste.
Oh, he wasted so much time, poor guy. Oops.
Oh my God. I have Jess is writing, I have so many clients ransom letters in my proofs with photos and hard to read writing.
Oh, that's funny. Ransom notes. So I'm going to mess around with this header. So this is what we had for the title. I think I want it to have a good amount of contrast. And so what I love about a modular grid too is, as you can see, like if you have smaller sections or like squares, you can kind of decide, okay, I want this to be 3 columns wide. I want it to be, 2. 2 seems a little bit hard to read, especially at this size, unless I decrease the size of this type, which is 14, so might be a little bit big. And then I'm going to adjust this line.
Jack wrote, I had a client who insisted we mail hard copy, and she'd mark it up and mail it to us. Ridiculous. Michelle wrote, that's why copywriters are just magical beings. I would agree with that. Like, I've known a few really, really good copywriters, and I'm like, how do you do this? It's just amazing.
Yeah, and you have so many people giving you input and being able to, I just don't think in words very often at all. I'm so visual that it's just like, it seems like magic to me.
Yeah.
Okay, so this article is about Shibori. So I've got an image here. Oops. So if you click once, oh yeah.
No, please go ahead, and I'll there's a question, and I'll address it after you mention your tip here.
Oh, yeah. So in InDesign, they kind of work in frames with photos. So if you click once, it's just adjusting the frame, so you can kind of crop it, which is nice, depending if like there's a part you just don't really like, or to make it a little bit more of an interesting photo, or if you double click, you can change the size of the actual photo.
Cool. So 1 click for the frame, 2 clicks for the photo. Awesome. So the question is, I know this was mentioned earlier, but could you quickly explain how you got the rows columns grid set up again?
Oh yeah. So you go into your pages right here, and then right above, there's this master. And in here, and you just do that so that it will actually end up doing it on every single page. If for whatever reason you want to have a different modular grid per, if you have a different layout that you have planned for one of the other pages, you can just do it directly on your page, but I wanted it on everything. So you select both of these, and then you go to layout, margins and columns. And then in here, you can adjust also your margin, and then you can do the columns here. So if you decide, also it's great too, because there's no like right or wrong like way to do one of these grids. Like you might want more columns. So you can always go back and just like add more if you want to. I go more on the side of more is better than less, because I just don't want to limit yourself. And then you go to create guides, and you can do, columns here too, and then you can do the rows here.
And when you select both of them, do you have to hold the keyboard shortcut like Shift or something, or Control maybe?
To select both of them?
You to select both pages, like you see how they're in blue right now. You said select both. Yeah.
Yep.
Which key do you hold?
Shift.
Shift. Awesome.
Shift is your go-to if you want to select multiple things, usually. I am not a shortcut guru, but there's a few that just are so easy and, no matter what program you're in, kind of work all around. And so for this, you just want to remove existing rulers if you want to change this, or else you're just going to add more.
Lamont is asking, how much space do you give the inside margins for binding?
Ooh, for inside, it's been a while since I've done that. Yeah, if it is binding, you definitely want it to be a little bit more than your outside. If you are using a specific printer vendor, especially with print, you kind of want to be talking to your vendor and kind of getting specs from them. A lot of times they'll send you a file kind of in this format where they've already set that up for you in case they need a little bit more space, but you always want to leave at least half an inch or something like that. Luckily for newspaper, we don't have to worry about that because it's just being folded over. But you do want to be mindful of putting copy there. Okay.
And Joe is asking, what is the best size range for body copy?
For body copy, I like to hover somewhere around 12, I would say, okay. Especially in print. And then you can go a little bit smaller if it's going to be a caption. Okay, so this is looking okay. I'm going to add more pictures in here. And another thing to keep in mind with print is that you want to start with a larger photo, and you just want to make sure it's good resolution, just because in print things can get pixelated.
What resolution would you recommend for print?
300 DPI, definitely. And honestly, for web, a lot of times now it's kind of up there too, especially if you have a retina display or something like that.
Well, fun fact, for web, you don't need to worry about DPI. Even if you do a DPI of 1, what matters is the pixel dimensions. So so if you have I don't know, a 4K pixel dimension image, even if you set the DPI to 1, it'll still look okay. So it's only really important when we're talking about print. Because obviously with web, you're only dealing with pixels, 1 pixel is 1 pixel.
That makes sense. Yeah, the people used to say the 72 DPI.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that has a historical connotation to it. When I wish I could remember the name of the monitor when digital imaging first came about, but it did have a resolution of 72, which just became the standard. But there's so many articles online that you could read now. If you they literally have examples of this photo is 1 DPI, this one's 72, this one's 300, but they all look the same on screen, just because in screen the only thing that matters is the width and height resolution. But obviously when it comes to print, they're completely different.
That makes sense. I feel like I still get people asking me for 72, and I'm always I don't know if it really matters. So
yeah. It's just
if that's still a thing.
It's a standard, but at the end of the day, if you're looking at it on a website, it doesn't matter.
Sense. Okay.
So the question now is, Jennifer is asking, so what pixel dimensions do you recommend? Well, it depends on what your output is and what you're doing. If it's just a web image, then for example, I don't know, a lot of websites will say for a profile photo, we recommend this size, then look for that specific thing that you're doing. If it's for your own website, I probably wouldn't keep anything that's maybe, I don't know, 1,000 pixels on the wider end. Also, you want to think about document size, but obviously when it comes to print, then you have to worry about resolution, as Ashley was saying earlier, and the industry standard is 300 DPI.
So I'm just adding a little bit of room up here because I think I'm going to, kind of how in a newspaper you have little sections up here that's kind of go to this page to read that, or just a little tidbit. I'm going to add a little article up here with some photos. So I want to make room for that.
Joe is saying web tends towards 16 pixels for base body copy. I'd say that's probably accurate. 16 pixels.
Yeah, I would say that's probably accurate. Web body copy is always usually a little bit bigger. And you usually have a little bit more spacing in between the lines too, I found.
Right. I think is, oh God. I did web development for so long and now I can't remember what the CSS was, but I think if I remember correctly, what I used to use was 1.5 M's. So like basically like 1.5 times the size of the font. So yeah, so it's a lot of space in between the lines. Heather is asking, might be ahead of the game, but if this is folded, those two pages won't be next to each other. Are you going to move the pages around for print, or am I crazy? You're not crazy.
Nope, you are not crazy. Usually what I like to do is basically there is a way at the end, I can maybe show it, but when you go to print it, you kind of like tell it what the binding is going to be, and you don't have to think about it, and it'll like automatically change the order of these layouts. But these are separate pages, but they will appear next to each other. So you kind of want these to line up, if that makes sense. This is like visually how it's going to look, but then these pages are going to move afterwards. So you are not crazy.
Definitely not. Just want to remind everybody about the design feedback is coming up in about 40 minutes. We're going to review Julia Masalska's Illustrator Daily Creative Challenge, and she said she was going to submit her challenge in there, so we'll see hers and yours as well. So make sure that you log into behance.net/challenge/illustrator, and you can click on the join the community chat link to open up Discord, and you can submit your work there, and that's where we're going to be reviewing the work in about 40 minutes. Lamont Road, you can do it easily in PDF Acrobat. I'm not sure if he's talking about Heather's question, so maybe you can clarify what you mean, Lamont.
I think maybe you can change order of the pages in Acrobat too, if you don't want to do it in InDesign.
And thank you, Wade, for posting the link to the Illustrator Discord page in the chat. So the link is in the chat. You can just click on that and submit your work through that link. Thanks so much, Wade. Oh, Heather's a Quark user back in the Quark days.
Oh, wow. That's
Did you
before
ever use
my
Quark?
time.
Yeah, I never used it.
No.
I remember exactly when I started using Adobe applications. It was right when Adobe bought Macromedia, and they were, I forget all the apps that were in that acquisition, but I remember that's right around the time where I started using Adobe products.
Yeah, I'm Adobe through and through. I was like in elementary school, and I was like making things in Photoshop, like weird.
I'm so jealous. I was like 19 when I started using Adobe products.
Oh, really? I don't know why. My dad, I think, had it, or like my sister, and this is gonna be like such a throwback, but like I was really into Neopets when I was younger, and they had these like little clubs, like Harry Potter and like stuff like that, and you could just like make these weird collages with like, I don't know, just like the weirdest stuff. And that was my first time with Photoshop, I think.
Do you remember what version of InDesign you started with?
Oh, I do not remember. Honestly, I can't even remember. Like, the Creative Cloud came out while like my senior year of college. So,
oh, wow. Yeah.
So it was one of the last
Creative
versions.
Cloud came out, I want to say in 2013-ish, I want to say.
Yeah, I think that's probably right. Yeah.
I learned InDesign with her geekness. Moved from, I'm guessing QX is Quarksy, like I don't even know the terminology for the older apps, to InDesign during that time. Her geekness, is that, oh my God, Anne-Marie Concepcion, is that who her geekness is? Hugo, let me know, because I'm pretty sure that's Anne-Marie. Any tips on how to get better at layout? Any resources or inspiration?
Ooh. I mean, like, to be honest, just like collecting anything you get that's print that you like. Like, I have actually just like a box full of just like things that I've collected that were either just like free pamphlets or like newspaper articles or just like anything I loved the design of, I've kept over the years just to kind of get a feel for it. And then as far as resources, I can't think of anything online because I kind of learned a lot of this stuff while I was in college, but I'm sure there's a bunch of tutorials. I'm sure there's stuff on like, I don't know if you're familiar with like Skillshare. I go on there sometimes and they have some good stuff. But honestly, just like looking at print and kind of just like dissecting it in your brain just really helps.
Where'd you go to school?
I went to a small school in Massachusetts. It was like 2,000 people, Stonehill. Nice. I think I had like 25 or like 30 other graphic designers in my major my senior year.
Wow.
It was pretty small.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hugo says that yes, her geekness is Anne-Marie Concepcion. I don't know if you're familiar with Anne-Marie, Ashley, but she is like an InDesign goddess. She is amazing, amazing, amazing at InDesign. She's a friend of mine. She is in Chicago, and she runs the Creative Pro conference, which is a conference where they do a lot of Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign. I know they did some AR recently. But yeah, cool. if you don't know Anne-Marie, check her out. You could also check out her business partner, David Blattner. David is also amazing at InDesign, so you should check them out. Actually, I did my very first conference as a speaker was Anne-Marie's conference, Anne-Marie and David's conference. They invited me to do my very, very first conference. And I was really nervous because I had a bunch of people that I like really look up to in the Photoshop world. If you guys are familiar with Bert Monroy or Dick McKellen, they were there. And to me, like, I remember being in school and just reading their books and buying their stuff online. And they were like sitting right next to me at the speaker dinner. And I was like freaking out. And I acted like such a fanboy with Bert Monroy because I'm like a really big fan of his work. But yeah, that's how I met Anne-Marie and David. Yeah, Lamont, yes, he runs InDesign Secrets. That's correct. That's their website. Robert is saying that he likes Smashing Magazine for learning design tips, tricks, and fundamentals. I used to read that website many, many years ago. I haven't been there in a while, Robert, but at the very least, it used to be a good one. I'm assuming it's still good if you're recommending it. And right now, are you just adding the photos into the frames? Cool.
Yeah. Using way too big of photos.
Oh my God, people are talking about the old zip drives holding only 20 gigabytes back in the day. I remember those.
Oh my God.
So I remember being in college. I forget what year in college I was in, but I remember that they came out with the very, very first 1 gigabyte USB flash drives. Yep. And I remember saving up money to buy them. And I thought, oh, when I finally bought it, I was like, oh my God, I'll never fill this thing out. It's like 1 gigabyte. Like, how am I going to fill this thing?
No, I have so many thumb drives now with just like random stuff on it that I'm like, I don't even know what's on here.
Yeah.
I'm like, now I just use like, cloud or, you know, like a bigger drive or something like that with a ridiculous amount.
Right.
There's probably a faster way to do this, but
yeah, there's in the object menu, there's the fit to frame, I believe. I'm not a super duper InDesign user, but there is, I think content aware fit might do it. Or that one. Nope, not that one. Maybe the content aware one will do it.
Content aware?
Did that one do it?
There we go. Oh my God, just learned something new. Way faster. There's so many times where I'm like doing something where I'm like, there's definitely a better way.
And big shout outs to Claudia from Print My Soul, because I learned that from her.
That's good. It's a good tip.
Robert wrote, old thumb drives are the junk drawers of the digital world.
They are. That makes me want to like now go and whoa, that was the wrong one. Wants me to go through my old thumb drives and see what's there.
Apparently they're saying in the chat on the top right of the menu there's the auto fit. It's probably one of those little icons there.
All right, well, we're gonna mess around with this a little bit more later. I think the frames of these need to be, and this is like one of those moments where you kind of like, you decide, like this modular grid's great right now, but like, I don't know if these really need to be following, you know, these rows. I kind of take the columns a little bit more seriously than the rows. That makes sense.
And again, just reminding you guys, in about half an hour, we're doing the design feedback. So make sure that you go into Discord and submit your daily creative challenge, or Illustrator daily creative challenge. And yeah, the link was in the chat earlier, but I'm sure that Wade could drop it back in there and you guys can click on it and submit your work. In about 30 minutes, we're going to be checking it out. So very, very excited to see what you guys came up with today. I know Julia did some work with type, so it should be pretty cool.
Nice. Can't wait to look at that. Okay, so I think I'm going to go back to my master, and now I'm going to start messing around with some pagination. You know, with an editorial piece, it is great to always have a page number on there, so you know exactly what page you're on. So you go to type, insert special character, and I believe markers, current page number. And so when you do that, your page number will automatically populate.
Super cool.
And so we will stylize this a little bit. For some reason, I'm thinking maybe we could do something a little bit larger, a little bit more fun, add some contrast. And then you can also do like put page and then A, and then they'll always have that page right there. Then I'm gonna add a little ruler.
All right, Julia Masalska just posted her, oh no, wait, yeah, Julia just posted hers. So Julia, thank you for posting your daily creative challenge. So if Julia posted it, you guys should be posting it as well, and we'll check that out. Anna is asking what the challenge was about. I know it was a challenge with type. I'm not exactly, it was custom type, and it was to create a poster with a custom typeface using the direct selection tool. So that's what it was. I like how you have the title on the bottom right, Home Buddy.
Yeah. Just in case you forget what you're reading. Also, it's just fun to have these little elements on the page. Just add some visual interest.
All right, I'm on Discord and I do see some submissions, so awesome. There's Julia's, so cool. Yeah, so be ready to make sure that you submit your work into the Discord page. We're gonna be checking it out shortly. So just making sure. So we got about 25 or so minutes for that.
Okay. So I'm gonna check out and see how that looks here. So as you can see, these guys will not be working here. A little smaller.
So how did you get into this type of work, Ashley? What led you to say, you know what, I'm gonna go study this at school?
My sister was actually a graphic design major
cool.
at Mass Art, and she ended up actually like not doing anything with graphic design, but I kind of knew about it through her. Otherwise, I think I wouldn't have even really like known it was a profession. I went into school as an environmental science major.
Oh, wow.
And I also always loved the arts. So I was kind of in between the two, and I was like, you know what? I'm not really like super great at chemistry or like any of these other subjects. Much better at design. So then I ended up doing that.
Awesome.
How did you get into photography?
Well, not a photographer. I consider myself a digital artist. So I do, which includes taking photos. But you know, like Paco, who's here in the chat, he's a great photographer. Check out his Instagram. He posted some awesome nature photography photos. But what I was really into drawing as a kid. I used to draw all the time, and I was like, you know, drawing comic book characters and stuff like that. And actually, like for fun, like I still do it, as you guys could probably see on my stuff here on the table. But the point is that when I got to college, I was like, well, I don't know what I'm gonna do. You know, like I knew I wanted to, so I played soccer in college. So like, all right, so I gotta play. So I decided, so my first 2 years of college were just like general education, because I was like, all I care about is playing soccer, so I don't really like want to like study anything. So it's just I probably shouldn't say this, but as an athlete, they give you a lot of BS classes to keep your GPA high to be eligible. But the point is that when I really started getting serious, like, all right, what am I going to do? Like, I got to do something after 2 years. And I thought, well, the only thing I like doing is drawing. And, you know, like, I'm not going to be like I'm not that good to be like a, you know, comic book artist or something like that. So what am I going to do? So like the next closest thing was design. Multimedia was the actual program that I landed on. And at the time, I was also just starting to get into Photoshop. I used to scan my drawings into the computer and just like do digital paintings over them, essentially just trace them and paint over them and stuff. So then that's how I started using Photoshop, and I did a lot of design work for a long time. Then got into development. So I did coding, and then I was like, I don't like this anymore. So I started doing a lot of basically what I'm known for now, which is a lot of compositing work and things like that. And the reason I say digital artist as opposed to like one specific thing is that I feel that there's so many things that I don't really consider myself like this or that. It's just a little bit of everything.
Oh, that's cool.
Lamont is asking. Oh, sorry. What was that?
Oh, I said that's impressive. I mean, even being able to code too. I took one class and I was like, oh no, I am not good at this.
Luckily for me, I guess for work, maybe not anywhere else in life, but I get obsessive about things. So like I would literally just like not sleep and just do something for like hours and 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 hours. And then eventually you're good, but then you suffer in other areas. Paco's Instagram is linked to his profile, so make sure you check it out. He was doing some really cool videos recently. Also, Lamont is saying, is there anything that Paco cannot do? I don't know. I haven't seen it. If there is, I haven't seen it. Vitor Maya, and I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name, just posted their challenge. Awesome. So yeah, make sure you post your daily creative challenge in about 25 minutes or so. We're going to be checking out the Illustrator Daily Creative Challenge that Julia Masowska worked on this morning. Oh, there you go. Paco's Instagram is on the chat. Wade, thank you for posting that. Make sure that you click on it and check him out there. Do you post anything on Instagram related to design, or any link that we should throw up there on the chat as well?
Yeah, I'm
Ashley?
at swaystudio.com, or no, swaystudio on Instagram, and yeah, and I'm swaystudio.com. But yeah, I post some design work on there here and there. I'm trying to get a little bit better at it. I do a little bit of just my life, and then also design stuff.
Awesome. Yeah, so make sure that you check out Ashley on Instagram. I'm sure that Wade will post up the link shortly. Oh, that's very sweet of you, Anna. Anna wrote, every time I need to solve a problem in Photoshop, I go to your YouTube channel, Jesus. Thank you so much. You're welcome, Anna. That's very sweet. What is your social media that you're like most often at now, Ashley? Or do you even have one that you're like your go-to social media?
It's definitely Instagram.
Instagram.
I honestly actually even like have an app sometimes that like just disables all of my like,
oh wow,
like anything I look at that's just like procrastination, because sometimes I'll find myself just like immediately like going on my phone, going on Instagram. I'm like, this isn't healthy. I'm gonna just get rid of this for a little while and do like a digital cleanse. But I love Instagram.
I've been really into TikTok lately. Oh man.
Oh my God, yeah.
And I've been posting on it too. I'm not dancing or anything on TikTok. I'll just be clear about that. I've been posting Photoshop tutorials on there, and I'm obviously I like doing my YouTube channel. I'm not gonna say I like it better than doing my YouTube channel, but it's like a different type of challenge, and I really enjoy making those videos. And I spend so much time watching other people doing stuff that it's ridiculous. Like I really like it. It's probably my favorite one now.
I just got into it after like a few months of my friends being like, you gotta go on TikTok, you gotta go. I'm like, how's it different than like Vine, which I never was really on? I'm like, how's it different? And then I recently got into it, and I was like, oh my God, what a time suck. Every night I find myself like 3 hours in, and I just keep looking at videos of like dogs doing stupid things, and it's amazing.
Okay, so see, the algorithm knows you because you look at dogs and they're amazing. Yep. Most of my videos are cats.
Yep.
So it's really funny. The algorithm really knows me. Most of my videos that pop up are either cats, soccer related, or like I guess the algorithm figured out that I speak Spanish. I've been getting a lot of like people making jokes, like comedy skit type things in Spanish. So it's and like I don't search for any of this, you know, like I never typed up cat videos, you know, it just started popping. I guess
do you just like only, because I look back at what I've liked and then I'm like, oh, it was all dog videos, so that's probably what tipped them off.
Okay, yeah, so maybe, but what I don't necessarily like videos to like, oh, I like this video, I'm gonna hit like. I like it because I want to save them, you know what I mean? Like, oh, this is so funny, I want to show it to a friend or something.
I want to show someone. Yep.
Yeah. And we have Ashley's Instagram in the chat, so make sure that you click on that and follow Ashley. And actually, I'm going to follow Ashley. So there you go. Now following you, Ashley.
Nice, thanks. Okay, so I'm feeling a little bit better about the layout of this. Still going to mess around with it as we go, but I kind of changed the copy to be blue. I just think, the black felt a little bit more, a little less playful than what I was looking for. I've also, went through and one thing that's really helpful while you're doing editorial is you want to kind of pay attention to your rag, which is essentially like how the type is like falling here. Mm-hmm. One thing I was always told is you don't really want any like super short words like a or it to be hanging around here. One shortcut I do, because usually I would go in by hand and kind of move those down to the next line, but if you just want to like quickly get a sense of something that looks a little bit cleaner, you can go to paragraph and then you can do balanced ragged lines. It's a little bit of a cheat, but it's kind of nice. It'll just like automatically make things look a little bit nicer. And then I'll go back afterwards.
Anna is saying, I love your type selection, Ashley. Beautiful color palette, cover, and overall layout.
Thanks.
Thank you, Anna. Beck, I know what you mean, Jesus. I too get lost with time watching TikTok. Yeah, like I couldn't sleep the other day, and I seriously spent about 3 hours just swiping 15-second videos. Oh my God, I feel even ashamed of admitting it to you. But like I rarely watch it during the day. It's mostly like at night, and instead of like turning on, YouTube, which is what I used to do before like a TV show to wind down. I find myself doing TikTok more these days.
Oh yeah, same. It's just such a feel-good spot too. There's like nothing too like intense on there. It's just like funny videos. I love it.
The question is, do you try to make sure your designs are accessible for ADA guidelines?
I probably should. I don't necessarily do that as much as I probably should.
Okay. Cool. Let me see if there's another question here. And I think I just said, and I accidentally click away. Okay, so Rachel is saying, been doing graphic design since before personal computers. So she's got some experience. A bit of a font geek, learned computers back in the days of PageMaker, LOL. Love making print projects and InDesign. What is the copy deck?
The copy deck?
Yeah, so the question is, what is the copy deck?
Oh, this is the copy deck, essentially. I kind of just use the term deck for a lot of things. Presentations, copy. This is kind of what I consider a copy deck. This is usually what, if you're working with a copywriter, they'll kind of give you everything in this format. And, depending on like the copywriter, sometimes I've worked with very visual copywriters who are like amazing and will even like kind of make sure everything is formatted in a way that's like, okay, I thought about like, this is your headline, here's your subhead, and like kind of visually create that within here too. This, I did not do that as much, but. Oops.
Cool. Julia said, Jesus is awesome. Whenever I'm looking for video tutorials, he keeps on popping up, and it makes me happy that he's my friend. Aw, thank you, Julia.
Oh.
Very sweet. And Julia loves dog videos on TikTok as well. Kevin is asking, how would you describe your aesthetic?
I would say a little bit minimalist, but then I like to get a little bit more different with certain elements, like maybe one or two, like a little bit funkier with the type and stuff like that. So I'd say like clean minimalism,
cool.
Like a hint of something else.
And again, just to remind everybody, in about 15 minutes, we'll be doing the design feedback for Julia Masalska's daily creative challenge, the Illustrator Daily Creative Challenge. So make sure that you submit your work onto Discord. I know that Julia submitted her work, so you should as well. I'm sure that Wade will be posting the link in the chat in a moment, but if not, you can scroll up and you can still see the link that he posted just a few moments ago. Rachel wrote, thanks. A good copywriter is worth their weight in gold. I completely agree.
I agree.
Joy Shomara wrote, Instagram Reels are the new trend though. Yeah, I guess people are kind of getting into that. I personally don't like it as much, but who knows? Well, maybe it'll catch on.
Do you make your own TikToks or Reels?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I started posting Photoshop tutorials, and
Oh, nice.
like, I mean, this is probably why I like it more, rather, because when I first started my YouTube channel, like, it took more than a year for me to get, like, I don't know, 300 followers. You know, it's like it took forever for me to see any action. I was just doing it because it was fun, and I just enjoyed it, and I just
Yep.
kept at it. So there was definitely no instant gratification. With TikTok, like my fourth video got 1 million views. So
Oh my God.
I'm probably close to 300 followers, and I just started posting like no more than 2 months ago.
Oh my
So
God.
so that kind of obviously sparked my interest, because I'm like, oh, people like these, so I'm going to keep making more. So it's sort of a different feeling than my YouTube channel, because I did see the instant gratification, as where with YouTube it took years for me to see anything, like even just like a couple comments.
Well, it probably also helps too that it's like a newer platform. And there's probably less people in the space too. Like,
Yes, definitely.
I feel like in YouTube, you're probably competing with so many people. I mean, granted, there's so many people on TikTok now too. That's so exciting though.
Yeah.
I still have yet to, I've tried to make one on my own, but like, I still haven't like fully figured out, like, I guess I'm like more on like the older side of like a TikTok user, where I'm just like, I don't really know how this works.
And I probably got like over 10 years on you, Ashley. So imagine how I feel.
I just thought it was funny. There's like a bunch of people who make fun of, they're like, oh, millennials on TikTok or whatever. And they're like grandmas or something. And I'm like, yep, that's me.
Well, so that's what I noticed, because I'm an older millennial. Apparently I make the millennial cutoff for like 2 years, but people are like calling millennials old, and I'm like, oh my God. So like, because I still remember people, some of my older friends still think millennials are like, 20-year-olds or 19-year-olds,
Yep. I know. I'm like, oh no, I'm becoming old. Oh well.
We all are.
Yeah.
See, I feel bad. I'm probably mispronouncing your name, and they left me such a sweet comment that I wish I could hear how you pronounce your name so I could say it properly, but I'm going to try. Jortermaya said, Jesus has the best and my favorite Photoshop learning channel. Hard work always pays off. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Oh. Still trying to find a spot for these photos. Not sure where I'm going to put them yet.
So like right now that you're struggling on trying to, find the best possible design in your head, like what is your thought process like? Are you just like, just moving things around, or what's going on through your head? What's your process like?
Well, so I'm using my grid as kind of a little bit of a guideline of like, okay, I can only kind of go in between these few spaces. I think it's okay that these start a little bit lower on the page and this one starts a little higher because we're trying to make space for that title. But I want one photo to be like a little bit bigger and then this other one to be just a little bit smaller. So I'm just trying to figure out where is the best spot, and also just trying to be mindful. Maybe if I just make this one column. Yep, there we go. And then let's see. Also just being mindful of where the copy breaks. I kind of want to keep this list all together. So I don't really want, one column to end right here and then the other one to start up there. I'm starting to wonder if I should mess around with my grid.
So you're gonna go in the grid and just change up the spacing, or?
Yeah, I'm gonna maybe see if I can add a few more columns.
Like you said earlier, more is better.
I'm just all about more is better.
Michael Vandenberg is asking, I have a question. Sometimes I have to make a report for my education. I made this in Adobe InDesign. Is there a rule for a good balance between text and visualizations? So I'm guessing a good balance between text, and any rules between, or any rule of thumbs that you follow for text and images, basically.
I don't know if necessarily there's like an exact rule, like, if it's, I think it depends. I mean, there's going to be certain layouts that are going to be just like super copy heavy, that, you might just not need as much visuals for. And I think for something like that, if you have room to play with, type, you can either do a really nice headline and you can do little call outs and just add a lot of visual interest with the type if it has to be super type heavy. But I do like to have a balance that's maybe at least like 2/3 type and then another third visual if possible. But depending on what you're working on, you might have some restrictions on how many pages you can go, so that kind of also depends. But I don't think there's necessarily like a hard and fast rule.
Cool. Julia's saying that she saw my video on making the TikTok logo effect. Yeah, so when I started using TikTok, I decided to make, how TikTok has, it's the logo and then to the sides it has cyan and I think magenta on the other side or whatever. So when I first saw that, I was like, oh my God, that's like super easy to do in Photoshop. You just disable the channels. Like, I wonder if the artist who created that logo is what they did. Like, they literally offset the layer and then just check 2 boxes and boom, I'm done with the logo. So I don't know if that's how they did it, but you get the same effects, just basically unchecking 2 boxes. So I did a video on that. So that's what Julia's talking about in the chat.
Oh, nice.
Cool. And also Michael Vandenberg. That's an interesting last name. That's one of my best friend's last name. His name is Ari Vandenberg. And this is the first time I see somebody else with that last name. So it's not a very common name, at least not in these areas. Cool. And we got about 5 minutes for the daily creative challenge. So make sure that you submit your work into Discord. Ashley and I will be reviewing that, and we're looking forward to see what you guys have created. So make sure you submit that. We got about 5 minutes. I really like that shape that you created for the placeholder for the photo, like to clip the photo into the frame. You made a frame, so like it's super cool.
Thanks. Yeah, I thought it was a little bit more interesting to have something a little bit different than just a square for the frame for the cover. I think I might need to like tweak a little part of it. I can't tell if that's a photo or if the shape is like slightly off, but I think I like this photo better than the minimalist couch. I think just this pattern's a little bit more homey and like you would want to live there.
I agree. And yes, the question is, this is the thing I was talking about earlier, so not to confuse you, Ashley. It says, unchecking 2 of the RGB channels from the blending options panel. Yes, that is correct. That's how I assume that the artist created the TikTok logo, whoever designed it originally. Michelle's saying, sorry.
Go ahead.
No, just saying, Michelle's saying, this printed on a cream paper is thumbs up.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, you always got to think about the stock that you're going to print on. I just love, if you can afford it, I just love messing around with different stock colors. It's just like an added level of fun. Like imagining a pink newspaper versus just like a black and white one, so much more fun.
Yeah, for sure. So right now you're just resizing everything, trying to get everything to fit in that panel. Is that the process?
Yeah, I'm trying to see if I did like having a little bit of extra space over here, but there's a little bit more to this article that I haven't copied in yet. So I'm like, maybe put that in there. But this is always just like you always keep going back and forth between especially like the first two layouts, it kind of takes a little while to kind of nail your grid and kind of nail all these elements in before you move on to the other ones. But see, now I'm getting this, which I do not love.
When you say I'm getting this, what do you mean by that?
Oh, sorry. But now I was breaking up this list, which is like not ideal. You kind of want to keep things, information that's similar kind of all together if possible.
Got it.
So maybe this would be a good spot to put my photo. We'll see. Not giving a lot of room here though.
Yeah. So I'm going to give you about a 2-minute warning. We're going to be doing the Daily Creative Challenge reviews coming up in just a little over 2 minutes. So make sure that you submit your work onto Discord. I see the link in the chat. Thank you so much, Wade. We'll be checking those out pretty soon. Lamont said, a game of 1 pixel to the left, 1 pixel to the right.
Yeah. I'll probably move on from here soon, just because I want to keep going. But yeah. Feeling somewhat good about this. I think we'll keep playing around. Maybe we'll just do 1 photo here, just because we already have like a lot of photos going on up here. So maybe I'm thinking maybe I don't need the 2.
Sounds good. And I'm getting making sure that we have the images ready to go, or the Discord ready to go for the review. I thought I had it open, but I must have closed it. Cool, I'm starting to see some submissions here, and I see that Julia is also making comments. Awesome, Julia. I think all right, cool. So I definitely do see some submissions, so make sure that you submit your work. We're going to be reviewing that very, very soon, so make sure you submit your work now. Anthony wrote, this design looks good. Thank you, Anthony.
Thanks. So I kind of moved on from there. I think I just kind of needed a break from that layout. I think for the most part it looks good, but I'm getting started with what the center layout will look like. So this one will actually be just 1 piece of paper, open together, connected. So you can have a little bit more fun with this one, and you can feel a little bit more safer about, having overlapping pieces in that middle, just because they won't be separate pieces of paper, so they'll all line up perfectly. So what I was kind of thinking is doing some type of either gradient or something super type-based. So I kind of started placing that here. I made these in Photoshop ahead of time, but they're super easy to make. You kind of just use the paintbrush tool and just layer colors on top of each other and play around with opacity and adding amounts. Just feels like real painting.
Right. I'll give a couple more seconds. It's time to start the design feedback, but if you just want to like 30 seconds, maybe less, and finish that up, that way people could see the process.
I mean, I think this is a good stopping point.
Okay,
we can come back to this afterwards. Yeah.
All right, cool. Yeah, we'll see what we have. Let me get going here so that, yep, there I am. I think it's sharing now, and let me know if it's not. Cool. Anthony wrote, gradient looks majestic. Ooh, the gradient. People love it.
Nice.
I don't remember if I read this comment, but I would totally love to read this guide. It looks so pleasing.
Oh, thanks, guys.
Cool. So here we are in the Discord app. And again, if you don't know how to get I think I did desktop, but I'll try again. Yeah, this is definitely a desktop share. Cool. There we go. Yeah, so this is Discord, the Discord app. If you don't know how to get here, you can, I'm sure Paco can put the bit.ly link in front of us. But if not, there you go. This is how you get onto the AI Discord page. And on the left-hand side, you can see the feedback section, and under challenge is where you can submit your work and where we are at now. Let me just refresh the page to make sure that everybody's submissions are in. And I'm gonna scroll up, and Julia, let me find Julia's example. She is the one that did the challenge. Here it is. If you missed it, you can click on the link here so you can see the recording. This is the challenge custom type with our good friend Julia Masalska, and I thought Julia submitted her. Did I miss it? Oh no, here we go. So this is the challenge that Julia worked on today. Glam Up, and it says cosmetics. Yeah, cosmetics all around. Cosmetics, I'm guessing aesthetics is the other word. I really can't tell. Oh yeah, no, just cosmetics, and glam up. So this is what Julia worked on today using, I believe, the direct selection tool, and I'm guessing there were some sort of font distortions on there. So this is what Julia did, and let me scroll up, or just to make sure that nobody submitted anything before her. And yeah, it looks like that was the first submission. And let me find, because these are challenges from previous days, we can maybe come back and look at some of these. But I want to focus on the challenges that Julia worked on today. So I think this might be the first one here, if I'm mistaken. It says Coolio, divide the trend. And in the circle, you can see that it says casual clothing, divide the trend. You can see this, right, Ashley?
Yes, I can.
Yeah. So I'll let you start. What do you think about this piece?
I mean, I think that the Coolio is pretty unique. It almost looks like they have like a drop pin or something like that in between, in the two O's, which is kind of cool. And I like how they're also playing with maybe separating, having a little bit of negative space in between the letters. I would definitely, play around with how the words are falling just in this space here. Maybe make it either the line weight of casual clothing, almost the same line weight as the circle there, just so they mimic each other and feel a little bit more, they almost feel so close, but just not quite. So I think that might help a little bit too.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Just out of personal preference, I'm not sure if I like just the giant teal circle. I would consider maybe adding some sort of design element in there, but that's just my taste. I agree with you with the drop pins on the logo. It looks really, really cool. Also the eye kind of backwards with a little red hint at or orange hint at the bottom. I think it looks super cool. I feel like there's more to the story, so I kind of would want to know what the story behind it all is. But yeah, I think you did a fantastic job. Great textures, great masking on the divide the trend. So super, super awesome job. And this was from, again, I'm sorry for mispronouncing your name, Maya. Again, I really wish we could hear people so I could pronounce their names properly, because sometimes I feel so bad that I can't pronounce their names properly. So let me see if there's another one from today, and if not, we'll look at a challenge from a different day. So here we go. Animal. And I'll let you start again, Ashley.
Yeah, so right off the bat, I really love how you're playing around with the positioning of the type behind the leopard. I think that's really cool. I think that's just a great way to add dimension. I think it's interesting that the M is extending down and almost like going in front of that. So it's kind of a nice layering effect. I am curious about, it seems like there's almost like a a pattern within the word animal, like part of it on the right is white and then a light blue. I think maybe either making that like more of a gradient or something like that, or just going one solid color might be better. It just looks a little bit not as purposeful again. So that would be my critique for that.
Yeah, I'm with you there, Ashley. I think I would just make it all white probably. I think it'll stand out better.
Yeah.
The one thing I would say is also maybe consider adding the L behind the tree. I think it just to balance it a little bit, maybe with the A that is also behind the tree. And I think just it'll make that M more impactful, maybe. But yeah, I think it looks great. I'm guessing that you added that bluish color on the left-hand side to maybe mimic some sort of shadowing effect. If you wanted to go that route, I would just make the tree part of that shadow. What I mean by that is just follow the contours of the tree and have that be the shadow for the word. But I think that in general, probably just having it completely white might be even better, just might pop better. Yeah, so I think it looks pretty good. The one thing I would say, and I think this is part of the actual design, is there's the red stroke. I'm not a big fan of that, so I would probably remove it, or if you wanted a stroke, maybe white or black or something that complements the design rather than taking away from it. I think just having it completely bright red just takes away from it, especially because there's. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say they kind of vibrate, which is something you kind of you want to avoid just because they're both really high saturation. So that's just something you might want to avoid. So either making it like a lighter red or just like a white even, or I don't even know if you need a border.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't use one. Yeah, I probably wouldn't use one, but if you needed one, then definitely go with white or black. But this, in my opinion, the red is not working, but the rest looks great. Steve wrote, "Those monkeys are playing a dangerous game with that leopard."
It's true.
Awesome. And this is from Shahid. So thank you so much, Shahid. What's going on here? It looks like there should have been a photo, but it's not loading. Let me refresh and see if it's my computer or if it's Discord. Yeah, it looks like for some reason David's designs are not showing up. So sorry about that, David. I'll try one more time just in case it's me, but everything else is loading just fine. So it looks like it is just David's designs there. Sorry about that, David. I guess we can look at some of the other designs from previous days, or maybe this is also for today. This is day one, so no, definitely not. Oh wait, is today day one? No, today is day two, I believe. Yeah. So we can still look at day one and see what feedback we can give Beck Nelson. So I think actually this might be Beck who was in the chat with us earlier. I'm not sure, but let's just take a look at the designs and then see what we think. So this is a logo draft for a brand called Lily. It's a fragrance brand, it looks like. Awesome. Again, I'll let you start, Ashley.
Yeah, so right off the bat, I love the lotus that you kind of have. That shape's really cool as the dot of the eye. I will say that for the fragrance going around in this circle, if you want to create something that's almost like a badge is what I'm assuming the look you're going for, I would definitely have the, there's a way that you can change the fragrance on the bottom part of the circle and just make that facing, I don't know, the other direction on the bottom so that you can still read that a little bit.
Flipping it, right?
Yeah. And then maybe even just adding like a line to kind of create that circle shape that you're going for, especially since you're kind of repeating the same words. I think maybe even just a circle would work, because I don't know if you want to repeat the word fragrance that many times. Maybe even like this since 2002, you could add that there. But I know you kind of want to, it seems like you want to have a lot of layers. I would maybe make this since 2020. I think you would make that even like bigger and then center that. That would be what I would do. Yeah,
it feels a little top heavy on the left-hand side because it's not centered. Maybe even the word fragrance, the repeating word fragrance around the logo, it feels a little too big for me. So maybe smaller typeface might
Or
do the
even
job.
bolding the word Lily. Like maybe you can make that a
Mhm.
little bit bolder and more
Yeah,
prominent.
definitely agree. But awesome, good work, Beck. This is the version with the um, black or dark gray background and white logo. And I mean, I will keep the same comments. I actually prefer the other one better. I don't think the oh my god, you just said the name. What are these called?
Lotus.
Lotus, yes. Oh my god, I completely blanked out the Lotus. I think the Lotus doesn't look as good in this uh,
Yeah.
with the white. I think it looks much better in the black. But
One trick too is a lot of times people will, for the opposite version of logos, sometimes people will add like the stroke of something like that might be like slightly, they don't have to match exactly. It could be slightly a little bit more.
Right.
Because usually the white lines will read a little bit smaller.
Right. Great tip. I like that one. Cool. Let's see what else we have. We have this Gladiator brand by David. So we'll take a look at the, I guess, the white one first.
Cool. I mean, so yeah. So this is he's kind of got a good balance with the hierarchy of the name of the brand. I think putting the box around it kind of really helps bring your eyes to that first. I think maybe you can play around with the positioning again of these pieces. I think, you know, you might want to mess around with where those axes are. Like maybe you don't have those both right next to that other shape. Like maybe they're below or something like that. And I think maybe you want to also capitalize like the A or something like that. And maybe just mess around with a different typeface. It seems like you might be using the same typeface, but only in lowercase as your logo. And I think you might want to just change that up a little bit. A lot of times you don't necessarily want to use your logo typeface again within a badge like that, just to add some contrast.
Yeah, I agree. And the one thing that I mean, I'm just not a big fan of orphan words like sense just by itself there is sort of weird. So I would try to just get it down to 2 lines, as you were saying.
Yeah.
At least capitalize the A, maybe consider title casing the whole sentence. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely not have a single word here. And I agree with you. I don't think you need the axes there. I think if this is the logo here, I think these axes confuse the overall design and it just makes it look messy. But these two are great. I have no comments on these. It's just when you're trying to add all these elements inside of that circle is when it gets a little weird. But overall, great job.
Yeah.
Awesome. And this was David? Yeah, David. Awesome. I guess we'll take a look at this one again at the black background. And yeah, so here I would consider maybe using, I guess is the brand and it looks really weird with black, but I don't know, I would just, wait, yeah, so here you had the 1985, the same color as the text above, and here you made it white, and having it a different color just makes it pop so much more. So I don't know if that's something that you may or may want to do or not, because I like how you have the Gladiator in white and then the logo in white. So I guess in that regard, it makes sense, but not with the 1985. So that's my opinion. I don't know if you have any other comments, Ashley.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I think maybe just making sure that the elements are, I don't know, popping equally on either one is a good thing to keep in mind.
Cool. Awesome work, David. Let's see that we already saw that one. Let me see. I guess we'll look at, let me refresh and see if anybody has submitted any more of today's challenges. If not, we'll look at whatever's at the bottom. This is day number 2, an invitation design. So let's check that out. Join us for an evening of casual cuisine and conversation. Patio dinner party, September 13th at, oh God, what is that? 17? Is that 5 p.m.? Carrie and Rob too. And then the address, awesome. Cool. What do you think about this design?
So I love the like fern type of image that you're using. I think it's just like the two of them like flow nicely and bring your eye down the page, which is really nice. I like the colors that you're using. They look great. I will just say I like the idea of maybe overlaying the patio dinner party, but I think it just gets to be maybe hard to read the word dinner. So I don't know if maybe either trying a different typeface and seeing if you can get it to layer differently, or maybe just like separating them out. Just because I feel like it just is a little bit harder to read the word dinner. And it's also like the stroke of dinner feels like very similar to almost like the leaves on the ferns. And I think you just want to like make dinner party much bigger and bolder.
Yeah. And I think it might work if, yeah, I mean, I'm with you. The word dinner there is definitely not the way to go. Maybe being on top but yeah, definitely have to work with that word dinner on there. But besides that, I think you did a really good job. The ferns look great. I like the nice little gradient there. So awesome. And this was from Carrie. So thank you so much for submitting, Carrie. Shahid, let's see what Shahid did here. Cool. I'll let you start, Ashley. I mean, this one's...
Well, I kind of like what you got going on with, it's obviously a needle and thread, and you kind of have a normally I don't like usually go for a script, but like I kind of like how you're using the tail to like almost mimic like the twine. So that's cool. I'm into that. And I think, you have a traditional look there, and it's definitely traditional. So I think you definitely nailed it with that. I think maybe just play around with color a little bit more. I think traditional look, you could maybe play around with that typeface, maybe something a little bit more. Right now, it just feels like a little plain in comparison, and I think you can do something something a little bit more exciting with that, and maybe change the color, something along those lines.
Yeah, I agree. And talking about color, it looks like the needle here, it's like a dark brown, which is different than the text here. Or is it just my eyes? But it looks like it's a different color.
No, I think you might be right.
Yeah, so that's kind of weird because it's close enough that it's very similar, but far enough away that you either make it completely different or don't. But I think that it's in that area where it's like weird that it's almost it, but not really. So I would really either match it to the other color or do it completely different so it's obvious that it's a different color.
I agree.
Cool. And also, like, if you do decide to make it a different color, then maybe you can play around with the masking so you can kind of layer it and make it look 3D, like it's really going in through those hoops. So that might be an idea.
Yeah, that's cool.
Let's see. Let me just take a look at the time. All right, we still have a few more minutes where we can do a couple more. Let me just, again, refresh the page just to make sure that there are no new ones at the bottom. No, we'll go with this one, blush. Oh, wait, this is the one similar to what we saw earlier.
Yes, yep, it is similar. Again, I think there's more we can be doing with the circles. I think they're taking up a lot of visual space, but not necessarily saying anything. So I think either... like part of me wants to like maybe put an image in one of them. Just something else might help a little bit here, and maybe even adding a texture to the gray, just like something to add a little bit more contrast between the two would be nice. But I like the blush type, the tail of the bee's cool. It's got a nice shape. I think you could, I like the idea of having the arch since 2020. It's kind of mimicking those other ones, but I think maybe even like just like turning it slightly more might help, or maybe like try to position it underneath the H to balance out that B more. Might be helpful. Yeah,
I agree with you. I think that you're right. There's definitely a lot more you can do with the Sense 2020 that will just... it feels like it's just a little off. I feel like if you maybe move it to the left a little bit, or like you said, move it towards the H, it would balance it out much better. But it's pretty good. And I agree. The circles, I would do something with the circles. Cool. Let's see. Where am I at? I guess we have time for maybe one more, and then we can have a couple minutes to finalize anything on your end, Ashley, and then we'll say goodbye. Let's look at this one. Melina.
So again, I think, you're first of all, I think you're missing a little bit of like that sense of where the frame is of the artwork. I think you want the gradient to be in that box a little bit more, just because now it just seems like there's some cut off circles rather than they're like off the page, which I think is more what you're going for. And I think you want to add more contrast between that like rosy plum gray color and the gray. Like it's kind of in the darker grays, and the gradient is getting lost a bit. So you just definitely want to add some contrast with the color with those. And then I think the typeface is very interesting. I'm not entirely sure what the L shape is, but it seems almost like robotic, which is kind of interesting. So it kind of maybe plays off of the like space gray you got going on there. Right. But I don't know if you necessarily like want the two different colors, like the outline, maybe just make it all one color, black or something like that.
Yeah, that L shape, I've been trying to figure out if that's like like I was like, is that a pen? Is that like a golf club? Like what is it? So but I think it just might be just the font type that was extruded and then maybe remove the fill or something, but I don't think it's meant to be anything. So I'm torn whether I like it or not, because I think it looks cool, but at the same time I'm like, do you really need it? I spent too much time trying to figure it out. Yeah,
it might distract.
Cool. Yeah, Ashley, so why don't we just move? We have about 4 more minutes, so why don't we move over to your screen, and if there's any final thoughts that you want to say, and I'll stop sharing my screen. And sorry, I heard stop. I thought you said stop sharing your screen. Yeah. Awesome, Ashley.
Okay, so I think I want to wrap up, or at least get this centerfold graphic a little bit more finalized. So I've placed in a quote that I found, and I think this is currently using the same typeface we've been using, but I think this is a good place to, because it's going to be a little bit more graphic, I think we can do something totally different here and use totally different typeface, and I think I want them to be much larger. So we'll see how this.
And just to give you a heads up, Ashley, we got a little less than a minute. I gotta say some things before we say goodbye. So just
okay.
Yep. Okay. Cool.
Well. We'll let that stay there, and we can finish that up tomorrow.
Yeah, we can finish that up tomorrow. And what are we gonna continue with this tomorrow, or are we gonna do something different tomorrow, or a little bit of both?
I think maybe finish this up tomorrow. Maybe add some images, and then the next section we have some recipes, and get those into layout. And if we have any extra time, there's also like a crossword and some puzzles that we can also lay in there too in the last 2 pages. So.
Awesome. So if we can look at the schedule, Paco, that'll be awesome. But if not, I think I have it on screen okay, cool. So we started the day with getting started with Brandon. Then we had Jason Levine doing a daily creative challenge at 8:30 a.m. Pacific. Photoshop daily creative challenge with Voodoo Val at 9 a.m. She'll be back again tomorrow. And video editing with Shai Lee. And we had Julia Masalska doing the Daily Creative Challenge, Illustrator Daily Creative Challenge at 11:30 a.m. Pacific, which is what we just reviewed. And we had the amazing Ashley Armstrong just now. We're still here. But right after us is Peter Doltondo, and he's doing the Adobe XD Daily Creative Challenge. And then at 2:30, we have the draw along with Kyle T. Webster. And we'll end the day with, again, Voodoo Val and Emmy from Good Rad Funny doing the design off 3 p.m. Pacific. It's a fun-filled day. Thank you guys so much for being here with us. If you haven't already, make sure that you start following Ashley on all the social medias. I know that the link to her Instagram is in the chat. And what is your website again, Ashley?
swaystudio.com, but sway spelled with an E, 7A.
Awesome. And we'll be back again tomorrow. Thank you so much for joining us. It was so much fun. And we'll be back again tomorrow. Thank you so much. And thank you for joining us, Ashley.
Bye. Thanks, guys. See you tomorrow.
Thank you.